Hello, my name is Frances Fox, and I'm a trained remote viewer. All my psychic skills have been trained, developed, statistically analyzed. Um, I chose the difficulties I had to go through in this incarnation in order to develop these skills. And here I am using those skills to acquire extra information from the other dimensions that should help to make your life easier. So let's go ahead and start with the US map. And I'm changing the time on this podcast so that I can have a life. I spend too much time waiting, too many times waiting for 7 o'clock. So I decided to change it to 6, but you can always watch it the next day. Not an issue. So let's go ahead and check out the US map. I'm a little bit excited about doing this because I'm not going to limit myself to what it is that what might be the reason why you came to this chat. I'm going to get up a second map up. I did a map of the Pacific, and I'll explain that to you now. Okay, so let me go into what we did this week with the Mantrista movement. We went ahead to Yellowstone. It turned out that I had posted somebody's X post in which they had videos and photographs of animals moving massively out of Yellowstone. It turned out that most of the videos and photographs were not from now, they were from before. But we went there anyway to work on reducing the fire because there's a potential. There has always been a potential for them to be an incredible earthquake there and volcanoes. And basically, if it erupts, whatever's underneath Yellowstone could basically set the entire planet off on a bad path. So we did not find it that bad because it wasn't. So the dolphins told me that Yellowstone has calmed down. What's underneath Yellowstone has calmed down. It is not where the ultimate danger lies for the United States. So in that process, and I don't remember the sequence, but I got the information that the Pacific Ocean was the problem. So I went ahead and I sketched it. And there you can see where you see that red. And my group, the Mantrista movement, we went there, we did the remote viewing, and basically the information we got was don't do anything. In other words, that we should not go into that area to try to reduce the fire or to do anything. So what I did was I told everybody to call in the dolphins, the whales, and the pink medusas, that they should go to that part of the Pacific and that they should change the frequency, because your frequency basically decides what it is you're going to do, how you're going to react, what your life is going to be like. Your frequency is everything. The frequency there is tragic for the planet. So we sent in the dolphins and all the animals, and we are not allowed to go work there the same way we were not allowed to work in Ukraine. When we went to go ahead and reduce the fire a couple years ago, we were told stay out of there. In other words, there's stuff going on that we shouldn't get involved in. But I do want to say, because most of you don't know this, but that tsunami where 200,000 people died, which I think was in 2004, I had said, and it was in December, I had said in July that there would be a bomb that would cause a problem in that area. And then we had the tsunami. And I went, oh, well, I guess I was wrong. But within 6 months of the tsunami, then a lot of people started to say that there was, I don't know if it was experiments with bombs, but that there were bombs that went off in the ocean. And that's what triggered the earthquake that triggered the tsunami where 200,000 people died. And perhaps we are there again, because I think they're doing some experimenting with bombs in that area in the Pacific. So Yellowstone, we don't really have to worry about as much because it has calmed down, but we may be There's another hot spot, which is the Pacific. So if you want, don't go there, but just send beautiful animals or your things that have a vibration that is the total opposite of wanting to experiment with bombs and not really caring if you cause another tsunami like the one from 2004. So now let's go ahead and go to the map of the United States. The reason I'm in a hurry is because I want to get to the stuff that I'm really interested in, which has to do with your body and your diseases and how you become master of your destiny and you have superpowers. But let's go ahead and give you what you think you want, which is what you want. Let's do it. Here's the map. I don't know what that means at the top. It says ultimatum. Now that's Canada. And Canada has a very low vibration. The frequencies, the Schumann frequencies, plus the frequencies that come from off planet are very low vibration. So I don't know what the ultimatum means. But look at all the triangles that are encircling the United States, except for the Great Lakes area and Maine. And that area has always been very iffy. Maine is where several times I had sketched that we had ETs invading, coming in through Maine, which I believe is the highest state all the way at the top. There's no protection there. All the other triangles are protecting the United States. Now, normally we see those triangles in the Gulf of America, and there may be some there. I only sketch what's important. I cannot possibly sketch everything. We do have the double Merkaba, which is the protection from the Galactic Federation, and which means that the United States is centered in terms of its energy, the spiritual energies, and also the worldly physical dimension energies. Mexico looks okay. I'm going to get a new map that's going to include Mexico because I believe the destiny of Mexico and the United States is nicely tied together and that the relationship will be mutually beneficial. So let's start to find out what's going on in Mexico and share it with people so that if something needs to happen, that they can start working on it. The very big issue, that there's an ultimatum there, but at the center, you see a spiraling. Now, I looked up the map. That's in Kansas. So guess where the mind control, where the Department of Psychological Warfare of the Army is? It's in Kansas. And I don't know if it's that high up in the state, but the word I wrote there is secrets. So I don't know if that has to do with the ultimatum at the top. I can only give you what it is that I get. But it would not surprise me now because of all the information that is coming out now and how Trump basically is not holding back, having to do with the intelligence community being the biggest enemy this country has. The intelligence community is the people that control me and everybody that is mind controlled. The intelligence community is extremely mentally sick, sexually sick. We're talking sick people. And please do not tell me that somebody who's high up in intelligence is not caught up with all of that, because if they weren't, they couldn't stay in their positions. It's a frequency, it's a vibration, it's a habit. And why on earth would the people that are into all that stuff that is now getting established, the habits of the intelligence community of this country, why on earth would they have people working for them that are not totally on board? Or they could be a mind control victim. So you have to look at every single person that has a high position in intelligence. You have to assume that they are the enemy, but they may be the enemy because they've been mind controlled, which is what I keep telling Trump. Hello, it's not the same thing for you to want to do something god-awful or for you to be controlled by other people that use you to do something god-awful, the Manchurian candidate thing. So the Epstein issues, I think the thing that gets the most delicate, but this I could be wrong on, and I am not looking at it psychically, is the fact that so many people feel that Epstein worked for US intelligence or controlled a lot of the people in US intelligence, and that the whole thing with the sex trafficking, the sex abuse, had to do with hooking or taking down people, to getting them involved in stuff, documenting it, and then saying, "Hey, we need a favor. I'm not going to do that favor. Well, look what we have on you." Oh, there we go with the whole story. When the Cuban mafia was threatening me, and they had some videos, which I did not agree on, and I said to him, "You go ahead, put out the videos." Okay, I have done a lot of shame mantras. Not anywhere enough. I need to keep going. I said, "Go ahead and do that." But people are going to ask, why would an old lady with cellulite allow that kind of a video? And then they're going to say, who was holding the camera? They never put them out, to my knowledge. The point of the matter is, these people are really savvy. Um, these people are really savvy, but if you're not willing to say, you know what, go ahead and take me down. If you're not willing to do that, you're really dead in the water. Because if they don't have something on you, they're going to have something on one of your kids. So I'm very glad that we have Trump at the head of the realm. And so, how did they try to take him down? Sex. What's going to cause the collapse of humanity and planet Earth? Sex. What is the reason for all that addiction, pornography, sex? Which are the worst crimes? The ones that are with perverted sexual whatever. Probably more people commit suicide having to do with issues of sex, like not knowing what sex they are, or realizing they're gay but not wanting anybody else to find out because it doesn't work in their particular world. So we're talking about the whole sex thing again, but I'm going to get off of that. But I am going to go to the woman that came out this week. Today is, maybe it was last week, and said, she was on TV, and she said that she was declaring that Trump had sexually abused her. And I'm looking at her and I'm going, great. She was sitting there. Her head was back like this. She has a rope around her neck and it extends. Somebody is controlling her. Now, does that make her a bad person? No. But is this dangerous? For her, yes. So her mouth also did not have the right colors. It wasn't blue. It wasn't white. It was black. But she was like this. And I have seen that rope several other times on people that are controlled mainly by like shamans. They work a lot with a shaman, and then the shaman likes that little money, and they want to make sure that client doesn't go away, and then they just tie him up but by the neck. I don't know why the neck. I have no idea. I should probably look into it. So that particular person is absolutely controlled, which should mean that what she's saying is not accurate, because when her mouth, what was coming out, the energy was not accurate. It was not the color of truth. Okay? Very important. Um, I want to get into the energetics of health. I just finished half an hour ago a class in which I sketched 7 different people, their bladders. And the issue, I believe, with every single one of them was rage at the opposite sex. In this case, I don't think any of them were gay. I would say rage at men. We have already established that your bladder is a battleground for how you feel about the opposite sex. Okay, so we have a president who has been falsely accused of sexual abuse, which there is no way Mr. Trump, listen, because we may be helping you to avoid something. There's no way he cannot feel this rage at that many women that are willing to do this, to lie. Okay. that rage, he doesn't, Trump and other people don't run around, or these women that I sketched a while ago, they don't run around screaming about how they hate the opposite sex. I had to have emergency surgery on my back 40 years ago because I had damaged the nerve that goes to my bladder. So it was basically my bladder that was the issue, well, symptomatic. And I don't yet know what it was that was happening exactly at that time because there were so many different things I had to do because I was a mind control victim that I didn't want to do. But certainly it would explain because your lower back holds frustration. And then if it's against men, you're going to have it, or women, in your bladder. So if I were Trump or anybody who has big battle or god awful things have done to you by somebody of the opposite sex, I can't cover the whole gay trans. I can't go there. I don't know. And I'm not going to deviate what I do know just to try to cover everything. If I were Trump, I would do, even though I hate women and there's nothing I can do, I love and accept myself. Why am I encouraging Trump to do this? Because that hatred is someplace, because he's a human being. We're all human beings. And it's accumulated, I'm sure, in his body. Now, it turns out that in 2 or 3 of the people I've been taking care of with bladder issues, included me, their backs were affected. I had emergency surgery on my back due to the bladder. So you're protecting your bladder, you're protecting your back, you're also removing an energy of rage and impotence, which is the basis for cancer. And that congestion has emotions which are magnetic. The frequency is magnetic. So you're going to draw more to you, and you're also going to repeat the issue until it gets cleared from your body, which basically is clearing from your mind, but it's that location of the part of your mind is inside your body. So if you have a problem with your prostate, or you have a problem with your bladder, or the uterus or the ovaries, you should just go directly to the mantra. Even though I hate them, I love and accept myself. And it won't be a generic hating the entire world. It will be hating what for you is the opposite sex. Very important, because you can be master of your destiny. But even more than preventing yourself from having an issue with your bladder, you will take away a congestion of energies that are held by the mind streams of your mind that create reality. So you're going to recreate Trump. You're going to continue to have females coming out of the woodwork until you confront how you really feel about that. And we know that you're angry, and you know that you're angry, but I would try to make sure there's none of that left in your body, that you have actually processed that. And you're so busy, I wonder how much you've really been able to have the time to process it. Mantras are incredibly efficient. Incredibly efficient. I can't believe they're still pulling people out of the woodwork. But here we go. And we are responsible for creating our reality. We all, when you have something and you go, oh my God, it's happening again, there's a knot of your mind strings someplace in your body, and that knot has a name. It's called a vasana, Vasana. And that vasana is a knot in your mind streams that includes bad spirits, thoughts, memories, images. And from that mess, you create. So if you have an issue of being constantly accused of sexual abuse because somebody wants to take you down, you don't clear that congestion, it's going to keep happening, which is what happens to all of us. Oh my God, it's happening again. I remember a couple of days ago, I said, you know what, to myself, I really need to take the time to clear this particular issue because it keeps coming up. And that's why you can't blame anybody for anything, because you see, this latest person that's accusing Trump, she basically, in terms of karma, she's doing him a favor. Why is she doing him a favor? Because she's putting in his face that he's got a problem that's a repeat, which means it initiates with him and it will continue to reproduce until what he's holding within his mind, his instrument for creation, no longer has that congestion. Now, all of your organs, all the parts of your body have themes and issues. So when you decide to get into that, it gets really interesting. I had an issue when I was young of circumstances not allowing me to be with the people I wanted to be with. Circumstances. I'm a mind control victim. We traveled a lot, went to different countries. I was thrown into Tibet. I think I was in China for a little while. And then circumstances, things would happen, but I couldn't be there because I wasn't there. Or I wanted to be with somebody and I couldn't be with them because of circumstances. Pattern. I need to deprogram, which will take my mind back to the original injury, clean it out, and then I don't reproduce issues that have to do with circumstances not allowing me to be with the people I want to be with. My mother was not allowed to keep me. That's a big trauma for my mother, but also for me. And big issue is people getting between me and my children. It repeats. So once you understand that, then you understand karma. So, and I remember many years ago, I had a friend of mine, a very dear friend, and he was supposed to come see me one evening, and he didn't come. He didn't even remember, which is kind of unusual. I kind of like to think that I'm like important enough people aren't going to forget me. So I called him on the phone. I said, "Where are you?" He went, "What do you mean?" I said, "You were supposed to be over here." And he went, "Oh yeah, okay. Well, can we leave it for next week?" I was furious. But what I said to him was, "Listen, I know I have abandonment issues, but guess what? I'm not going to allow you to put that in my face. I'm not forgiving you for not even remembering." Anyway, I was furious. I didn't speak to him for a month. And then afterwards, we were good friends. So we went. But basically, I knew that it was karma. He was acting out a reality that I was creating. Once I haven't been able to finish with the abandonment one. That's a big one for all of us. But once you understand that and you go, he's doing it to me again. Like you're in a job and they're not giving you the raise or the whatever, and they give it to someone else who's less than you, and it's happening again, and everybody knows I should have had it. What happened? Well, what happened? It's happening again. So when did it happen? No, it happens a lot. You have a pattern. And that is a mess of mind streams that look like a hairball from a cat inside your mind, that rather than then flowing like this, yeah, because you had a trauma, go back and clean it up and it won't happen again. You won't need it. I have an ugly story. I was in the middle of a craniosacral session, and all of a sudden I had this memory of being sexually abused by somebody that was a friend of mine. I didn't remember. Well, that kind of makes sense with my history. But he had already passed. His spirit showed up and he said, "You haven't finished clearing your issue of being a victim of sexual abuse. You haven't finished. That's why I had to do that, to put it in your face again." This is his spirit telling me. And I was like, okay, because I already understand this. This is what I teach. So the person that was giving me the craniosacral session said, "What happened?" I said, "Well, the spirit showed up, but this is a guy that was a friend of mine. And he did this. I didn't even remember, but he's telling me that he needed to do this to remind me, hello, wake up, go back." And she went, "Oh, that's good." You can get mad at the person, but you're not going to be as mad because you have understood that you are a master of your destiny. And if you understand how the mind works, you can get a grip on your life. Now, There are things that you're going to allow because they keep you on your path or set you on your path of your mission or helping other people. So it's not quite so cut and dry. But if you have something that keeps repeating and it's really a problem for you, do the mantra. Please, God, help me with my intention to create a miraculous purification of my hatred of men. Now, does that mean I don't like men? No, I like men. It doesn't mean. That is a particular energy that I have in reaction to all these things that happen. And it's going to keep and it is keeping my bladder much healthier. So, anyway, I wanted to go into that field. Your body is a map to your life. Your scars, everything is a map to your history. Carolyn Meese, the incredible healer, said your biology is your biography. Okay? So, are you limping someplace? I have a right leg, another example about me. I have a right leg that never had reflexes in the knee. You remember, most of you are younger, but before, when you went to the doctor, one of the first things they did, they had a little hammer and they would check your reflexes on your knees. They don't do that anymore. I had none on my right leg. Oh, okay. Well, the right leg channels the male energy of power. And nobody in my life wanted me to be powerful. They wanted to use me and my power, my head, whatever, but they didn't want me to channel my power. So I don't know exactly what they did, but it was probably 1,000 different things. I wasn't channeling that. So it creates a pattern of not flowing with power, getting to a place, and everybody is, oh my God, you're great. But then you don't have the power within that situation because you have a pattern that your power is blocked. So in terms of people today, Trump, you need to take care of the pattern with women. The hating women, just plain hate women. And what we found, it wasn't just me to where the bladder affected the spine. There was another person in the chat, in the class that I just gave. I think there were two of them to where the back has been impacted by the toxicity of the rage that's in the bladder. So there's a relationship there. And the whole thing about male, female, you got to get this figured out. We're supposed to be coming together, and male, female, and kind of like we're not. And that would be important to do. So let me go to we're going to end with this. Somebody put in something, I don't remember, about mangoes. Mangoes, the devil and the bad spirits do not like joy. They don't like happy. They don't like happy. Now, the coconut supposedly was brought to planet Earth by Lord Vishnu, which is, I think, the highest god in Hinduism. Vishnu, I believe it's brought to this planet, the coconut, to protect humans from spirits. But the spirits that used to have physical bodies, and then the physical body died, and they're kind of floating around, whatever, and they can be used by the devil, whatever. And the reason why coconut was like bad for you, coconut oil, was because the spirits got to certain people in charge and made them think that coconut was not so good for you. And so we had this whole disinformation campaign, like cannabis. Coconut, no, 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 don't you, that coconut oil, what are you, crazy? No. Now, if you ask what things coconut helps with, there's like 100 different things that coconut oil helps with. Why? Because it protects from spirits. And it's the favorite oil of your sexual chakra. Always have coconut oil in your belly button. The dolphins recommended that. It's really good. It's the frequency that it needs. Anyway, somebody was talking about the mango. Mango has a type of joy different from the coconut. Coconut has a particular type of joy. Mangoes protect you from spirits, from the devil, from the spirits that are off planet, because it has a particular type of joy that they can't tolerate. So I went ahead and I made my comment. It was beautiful. People talked about in the Akashic records, they looked up mangoes, but not because of my comment. They were already doing it. And how the vibration and the frequency of mango is like of the highest order. I didn't know somebody had done all that work. It made me really happy. So I'm turning it over to you. Coconut helps to protect you from spirits that used to have bodies, and mango protects you from the really bad ones that are the devil and the off-planet ones. Metaphysics, root cause. What's the root cause? Spirits don't like joy. So if you have joy, they can't come and influence, interfere, or possess you. But you need a particular type of joy to deal with the devil. You got your mango. Interesting, right? Simple, 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 simple. God left us a lot of solutions that never got to modern medicine. Actually, I had a friend of mine who had an incredible number of tumors in her liver. And she has given me permission to tell this story, but she had a 7-hour long surgery at Mayo Clinic having to do with these tumors because they were pressing on particular arteries or veins, problematic. And they didn't get very far. Okay. So I suggested that she go to sleep at night with 3 mangoes tied up next to her body, next to her liver. So, first place, if you look at the mangoes, they look like they went through a war. I have to get those photographs. But not only that, she continued to go to the doctor. They did, and she thought there was something going on with her liver and she needed, so she had it checked. And I think that several of the tumors she had, they were gone. From the mango. Now, this is not a dummy. This is a university graduate, a well-to-do person. This is not somebody that wants to please me. Oh, look, Francis, look how much you helped me. Sleeping with 3 mangoes. 3 is the number of joy. So not 2 mangoes and not 4. 4 is the number of work. Trump, no number 4. You work too hard. 3. Mango. You can do coconut too. But I think that if her liver was that bad, and it was, she showed me the medical stuff, then we should go directly and protect from the devil. Okay? So, and somebody said, can I eat the mango? No, the mango is absorbing the energy of the devil. Bad energy. Don't eat it. Throw it away. Next day, you get 3 more mangoes. Do they have to be green or can they be half? Mango. Mango. This is not like the kind of doctor prescription you can only take it for 28 days and you have to take it 3 times. No. What you're doing is you're putting the mango there, you're putting in a frequency that is not tolerated by the devil, so the devil leaves. The bad energy that would be associated with the devil leaves. Try it. This is a lot more fun than modern medicine is not fun at all. When you get all this alternative stuff, but at the level of which I'm talking about, it gets a little bit fun. I mean, can I eat it afterwards? I felt like braining the person, but it's funny. It's funny because if you're with health and you're into modern medicine, you got to ask the doctor. Like I say things to people, well, I'm going to ask the doctor, and I feel like throwing something at. Go ahead, ask the doctor. He's going to. What is he going to say? that if you want to waste your time on doing that, well, you go right ahead. But there's no proof. No, not in your world, mister. Thank God your world is getting destroyed by RFK. Okay, that's it. We're finished. I have another class now. We're going to go back to, oh, we're going to the coccyx? Why are we going to the coccyx? I have a degree in political science. I do remote viewing. I do all sorts of things that are because it's personal power for you. The coccyx, first place, it has spirits. You know what spirits are around the coccyx, which I would have never believed if I hadn't seen it? The gnomes. They're little dwarfs. It's the earth element. So it's got to be really good for your coccyx to be healthy. It's got to be good because earth is prosperity and the underworld has opened up. So to have spirits there that are so sweet but powerful and aligned with you and keeping that uh, space purified. By the way, licorice is very good for the coccyx. Where the hell did I get that information? I asked the dolphins. They gave me a couple of other things, but I don't remember what they are. But we're going to go back there tonight. And I think it's going to be almost 100 people. And let's see what we find, but we'll share it with you. So can we please, Trump, can you please check out Kansas, or can you please encircle Kansas? Because that's where they have the Department of the Army, Division of Psychological Warfare, who were in charge of the mind control program when I was in it. And they are the ones that sent people to LA with money to pay for movies, which is why we ended up glamorizing the intelligence community, CIA, in the movies. And then we have all of our kids thinking that that's all great. So maybe you need to first encircle that area because there's stuff going on there and it's affecting the entire country. That's the point. Let me put the map up again. Whatever's going on there. Oh, how interesting. Okay. And I have to say, looking at this map, and with the work we did in Yellowstone and what we saw in the Pacific, I would have to say that I would not be at all surprised if we don't have an incredible planetary event with a lot of movement of Earth. In other words, earthquakes, volcanoes, tsunamis. It would appear from this that the United States is in a process of protection. Now, the Great Lakes is not protected. All the way at the top of the Northeast is not protected. Um, Chicago is there. It's the biggest portal in the United States. So I'm not sure. I guess maybe for tomorrow, I try to ask what it is that could be done to get that area protected. But I believe the reason why those pyramids moved in closer to the United States rather than being just in the Gulf of America, Gulf of Mexico, is to protect the United States from some kind of movement. So that's the bad news. Let's stay with the mangoes. Okay.